Officer James Rodriguez was driving through a quiet residential neighborhood in Portland, Oregon on a Saturday morning when he heard it, a dog barking. Not normal barking. Not the sound of a dog playing or greeting someone. This was frantic, desperate, continuous barking. James considered ignoring it. Dogs bark. It's what they do. He had real calls to respond to. But something about this barking felt different. It sounded urgent. It sounded like a cry for help. James pulled his police car over near the sound and got out to investigate. He walked toward a small, abandoned-looking house on the corner of Oak Street. The house looked empty. Windows boarded up, yard overgrown with weeds, front door hanging slightly open. But from inside came that barking. Desperate, intense, like the dog was trying to tell someone something important. James approached the front door carefully. He had no idea what he would find. He had no idea that what was about to happen would shock him, his department, and eventually news outlets across the entire country. Within minutes, James would make a discovery that would answer questions police had been asking for years. A discovery so unexpected that when other officers arrived at the scene, they could barely believe what they were seeing. To understand what Officer James discovered, you need to understand who the dog belonged to and what circumstances had led to this moment. The story of Max. The dog's name was Max, a 3-year-old golden retriever. Max had belonged to a family, the Henderson family, who had lived in that house on Oak Street until about 6 months ago. The Henderson family had moved away suddenly. Nobody really knew why. The house had been left behind, mostly abandoned, though technically the bank still owned it. It was one of many foreclosed properties in the neighborhood during difficult economic times. But what nobody knew was that Max had been left behind too. The Hendersons had taken their other pets with them, but Max had gotten out during the move. He'd run off into the neighborhood, confused and scared. By the time the family realized he was missing, they'd already driven away. They'd tried to find him. They'd called the animal shelter. They'd posted signs. But Max had wandered far from home, frightened and unsure. Eventually, Max had made his way back to the only home he knew, the old Henderson house on Oak Street. He'd squeezed through a crack in the boarded-up door. And somehow, over the past 6 months, he'd survived inside that abandoned house. Max had found ways to drink water from the leaking roof. He'd found food, old cans, garbage, whatever he could scavenge. He'd become thin and weak, but he'd survived. But Max hadn't survived alone. Over those 6 months, Max had learned something remarkable. He'd learned to alert to danger. And on this Saturday morning, that instinct was about to lead to an incredible discovery, the missing person case. What Officer James didn't know when he approached that barking dog was that this discovery would be connected to a case that had haunted the police department for 2 years. A woman named Jennifer Marks had disappeared 2 years ago. She walked out of her apartment one evening and never come back. She'd left behind her phone, her purse, and her teenage daughter. The police had searched extensively. They'd checked hospitals, shelters, other cities. They'd interviewed everyone who knew her. But Jennifer had simply vanished without a trace. The case had gone cold. It was one of those frustrating disappearances where there were no leads, no witnesses, no clear answers. Jennifer's family had never gotten closure. They didn't know if she was alive or dead. They didn't know what had happened to her. The case had haunted Detective Sarah Chun, who'd been assigned to investigate Jennifer's disappearance. Sarah had kept following leads, year after year. Even though the case wasn't officially active anymore, she couldn't let it go. She couldn't accept that they might never know what happened. And then, on this Saturday morning, a dog's barking would finally provide the answer. Officer James enters the house. When Officer James pushed open the creaky door of the abandoned house, he was hit immediately by a strong, unpleasant smell. The smell of decay. The smell of death. James knew that smell. He'd encountered it before. And he knew immediately that something serious had happened in this house. "What the?" James muttered to himself. Max rushed at him, barking frantically, not attacking, but clearly trying to communicate something urgent. The dog was thin, ribs visible, formatted, but Max's eyes were intense, focused, trying to tell James something. "Okay, buddy," James said to the dog. "I'm here. I'm listening." "Okay, buddy," James said to the dog. "I'm here. I'm listening." Max barked again, then ran deeper into the house. He stopped at a closed basement door and barked more intensely. James's instinct screamed at him that something significant was in that basement. He radioed dispatch. "This is Officer Rodriguez. I'm at 442 Oak Street. I've discovered what appears to be a deceased person. I'm requesting backup and a detective. Also, there's a dog here. Animal control should come get him once we secure the scene." James did not go into the basement. Not alone. Not until he had backup and proper procedures were in place. Within 10 minutes, the scene was swarming with police officers. A detective arrived. The coroner was called. And everyone was asking the same question. What was in that basement? The basement discovery. When the basement was finally opened and carefully examined, officers found something that would answer a 2-year-old mystery. In a back corner of the basement was a body. It had been decomposed significantly over the 2 years, but it was clearly a human remains. And through dental records and other identification, they quickly determined it was Jennifer Marks. Jennifer, the woman who disappeared 2 years ago without a trace, had been in this basement the entire time, likely killed during a robbery or home invasion gone wrong. Hidden in a house that had been forgotten, with a faithful dog keeping vigil over her. Officers were stunned. Detective Sarah Chun, when she heard the news, had tears streaming down her face. After 2 years of not knowing, finally they had answers. Finally, Jennifer's family would know what happened. "We found her," Sarah said, her voice shaking. "We finally found her." The dog's role in justice. But what struck everyone was Max's role in this discovery. Max had been locked in that abandoned house for 6 months. Max had somehow survived. And most remarkably, Max had not abandoned his vigil. Max had continued to stay near the basement where Jennifer lay. Max had somehow known that this was important, that this needed to be discovered. When the story broke in the news, the focus was as much on Max as it was on the discovery itself. "Dogs barking leads police to 2-year-old missing woman," read the headlines. "Faithful dog keeps vigil over deceased owner's friend for 6 months," read another. "Police, dog's alert was a key to solving cold case," read a third. Answers for Jennifer's family. Jennifer's family had been waiting for 2 years to know what happened. They'd suffered 2 years of not knowing. 2 years of hoping she might still be alive somewhere. 2 years of not being able to move forward. When police contacted them with the news, they were devastated but also relieved. Finally, they had answers. Finally, they could say goodbye. Finally, they could move forward. Jennifer's teenage daughter, who'd been 16 when her mother disappeared, was now 18. She'd grown up with that uncertainty, with that hole in her life where her mother should have been. Knowing what happened is painful, Jennifer's daughter said in an interview, but not knowing was worse. Thank God for that dog. Thank God someone was paying attention to his barking. Thank God we finally know. The investigation that followed, with Jennifer's remains recovered, police could finally investigate her death properly. Evidence at the scene suggested that Jennifer had interrupted a burglary. The burglar, a man named Marcus Webb, had panicked and killed her, then hid the body in the basement. Marcus Webb had died in a car accident 2 months after Jennifer's disappearance. He'd never been caught for crime. But now, through the evidence found in the basement, police could confirm their theory about what had happened. Justice may have come too late for Jennifer and too late for the criminal to face trial, but at least the truth had finally come out. The discovery about Max. When Animal Control took Max to the veterinary hospital, they discovered something remarkable. Max was a dog who'd been missing as long as Jennifer had been dead. The Hendersons, when police contacted them, confirmed that Max had gotten lost during their move about 6 months ago. They'd searched for him, but had given up. "We never imagined he'd survive alone in that abandoned house for 6 months, Mrs. Henderson said, tears in her eyes. "We had no idea he was even there." The veterinarian who treated Max was amazed that the dog had survived at all. "Max is a miracle," the vet said. "He's malnourished, dehydrated, and has several health issues from his time alone. But he survived. And more than that, he somehow knew to alert to the danger, to the fact that a human remains were in that basement. This dog is extraordinary. Max's new life. When the Hendersons learned that Max had survived and had been found, they immediately wanted him back. But the family dynamics had changed. They'd moved to an apartment that didn't allow dogs. So they made a different decision. They donated Max to the police department. Max found Jennifer when nobody else could, Mr. Henderson said. Max belongs with the police. Max should be a working dog. Max should help people. And that's exactly what happened. The Portland Police Department officially inducted Max as a Canine officer. Max was trained to be a search and rescue dog. His natural instincts, his ability to alert to danger, to sense things that humans couldn't, were channeled into helping find missing people and evidence at crime scenes. Max became something of a legend in Portland. The dog that had survived impossible circumstances. The dog that had solved a cold case. The dog that had brought justice. The broader impact. The story of Max went viral on social media. It was covered by news outlets across the country. It was even featured in international news because it was such an unusual and remarkable story. The story sparked conversations about cold cases asterisk. How could abandoned dogs help solve other cold cases? Should police departments invest more in search and rescue dogs? Animal loyalty asterisk. Max's story showed something profound about animal loyalty and awareness that we don't fully understand. Police response to unusual alerts asterisk. Officers began taking reports of strange animal behavior more seriously as potential indicators of crime scenes or emergencies. The value of paying attention asterisk. Officer James had paid attention to a dog's barking when he could have ignored it. That attention had led to solving a 2-year-old mystery. The power of paying attention. The most fundamental lesson from Max's story is the power of paying attention. Officer James could have driven past that barking dog. He could have assumed it was just a dog being a dog. He could have ignored it and continued on to his next call. But he didn't. He paid attention. He stopped. He investigated. And that simple act of attention solved a cold case. The lesson for all of us is this. Pay attention. Notice when something seems unusual. Notice when an animal is trying to communicate something. Notice when your instincts tell you something is wrong. Often, the most important discoveries come from the simplest observations. The loyalty of animals. Max's story also demonstrates something profound about animal loyalty and awareness. Max had spent 6 months alone in an abandoned house. Max could have tried to escape. Max could have wandered away to find food and shelter elsewhere. But instead, Max stayed. Max kept vigil. Max somehow knew that this place was important. And when an opportunity finally came, when a police officer heard the barking, Max made sure that officer understood that something significant needed attention. That a form of intelligence and loyalty that we don't fully understand. But it's real, and it matters. The importance of not giving up. Detective Sarah Chun had continued investigating Jennifer's disappearance even after the case had officially gone cold. She hadn't given up. She kept following leads. When Max's barking led Officer James to that house, and Jennifer was finally found, it was validation that persistence matters, that not giving up matters. Never stop looking for answers, Sarah said when reflecting on the case. Never stop fighting for the missing. Never give up, because sometimes when you least expect it, a breakthrough will come. 3 core truths. This story teaches us 3 core truths. Truth 1 asterisk. Paying attention to details that others miss can lead to extraordinary discoveries. Officer James's decision to stop and investigate a dog's barking changed everything. Truth 2 asterisk. Animals possess intelligence and instincts that we don't fully understand. Max somehow knew to alert to the importance of that basement. Max somehow communicated across the barrier of species to reach a police officer. Truth 3 asterisk. Persistence and care matter. Detective Sarah's refusal to let the case go cold, combined with Officer James's attention to that barking dog, eventually led to justice. Hashtag where Max is now. 3 years later, Max has become a fully trained K-9 officer with the Portland Police Department. He's helped find 3 missing people. He's assisted in 3 different crime investigations. Max has become something of a celebrity in Portland. Children wave at him when they see him at community events. Local news outlets regularly feature stories about Max and his remarkable journey. But more importantly, Max has found healing and purpose. After surviving 6 months alone in an abandoned house, after being thin and weak and struggling to stay alive, Max has transformed into a healthy, powerful dog with a job that matters, a job that saves lives. And Officer James, who stopped to listen to a dog's barking, remains one of Max's primary handlers. Max will always be special to me, James said, because Max taught me something I'll never forget, that paying attention matters, that the smallest act of noticing can lead to the biggest discoveries. If Max's story moved you and reminded you about the incredible intelligence and loyalty of dogs, please like and subscribe for more unbelievable stories that show what animals can teach us. Hit that notification bell so you never miss these remarkable moments. In the comments below, tell us, do you have a dog? Has your dog ever alerted you to something important? Share your story. See you in the next video. ***.